I should turn down the TV because I also got my.
Hello. My name is Bruce, and you are joining us tonight on a very special episode of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. All right, so with me tonight, let me bring in my co-host. My primary co-host is Miss Janet from Another Planet.
Hello.
Hey, Janet, how are you today?
Good. I'm excited about this movie.
Yes, and this movie was brought to us by a friend of ours, Mr. Joshua Meredith, also known as 6 Nation 31 Kings, if you recognize Packy there in the avatar.
Mm-hmm.
My secret identity has been revealed.
Oh no. Don't worry, you got 500-yard range on the driveway and you're uphill.
If only the AR-47 actually worked.
Don't you? There'll be an AR-74 in a unmarked packing crate in about 3 days. So if you can hold out for 3 days, you'll be fine.
I'll make do.
Before we begin the dissertation of this wonderful film, and it is a wonderful movie, despite what my mother says, our guest host tonight, first one here in chat. Good crashing the circus going on outside. Last night's discussion got me thinking about flawed characters and good writing. Makes me want to revisit the season of True Detective. First season was amazing. And I have to complain. My refrigerator tonight did not do me any favors. It was locked. Chairman Z sent me a refrigerator. Yes, the man from China, and he sent me this refrigerator, and so I loaded it with my own money. And now it doesn't open. The money cards Z sent me, they do not work at Sam's or Costco. Chairman Z, if you're watching, I'd like an email. I need an explanation. Thank you, sir. Hail China. And that's only for my YouTube side, not Rumble, because fuck China on Rumble. Yes, it's almost COVID voting season again, so don't worry. Just have your N95 mask, or if you have a strap that matches the scar or the imprint on Joe's cheeks. If you haven't noticed, his CPAP machine makeup people are not scrubbing his cheeks lately, so he's got the strap on the first morning viewings of Resident Joe. You can see the CPAP marks. It's not a ball gag as much as we want it to be. It's not a ball gag.
Well,
we'll just keep telling ourselves that.
Yes.
Well, I hope he just keeps wearing that mask that doesn't work. Never know.
One of my favorite people, Jackie Blue, is in chat tonight. She's a lovely one. Lady, once again, let's do this.
Oh yeah, it is naughty.
Almont and Cruel Intentions are remakes of this. I don't know if they're really remakes of this. I'll need to see Valmont. Cruel Intentions, I think it might just be based off the source material. Don't quote me on that. I need to watch it again.
Both of those are.
Go ahead, sir.
They're not as good as Dangerous Liaisons, but they were based off of at least the same plot.
Okay. Yeah, he's a rabbit. Ever drool a little bit and not notice it till it hits your shirt? I try not to.
When I wear my mouthpiece, I do.
When Janet dresses up like this, I expect a big show. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, if anyone sends me a message on Discord, I will send you a video so you can see my whole outfit. I already shared it with a couple people.
Oh, rest in peace, your inbox.
Oh boy.
I know, right?
It's a gorgeous dress.
It is.
It's really pretty.
It's very swank. Okay, let's talk about this film. Came out in 1988. Hey, Mac Thompson. This movie came out in 88, and it was an amazing reveal. And Stephen Frears really did a good job of getting this together. He deserves a lot of praise for this movie. Six Nations. When did you first see this film?
Oh, it was at least over 30 years ago. I want to say Bill and Ted's had come out. We had rented that on video. And so it was probably about 89, possibly 90. And we had got Dangerous Liaisons with Amadeus, because my parents were on a kick of like-themed movies. So they're like, oh, powdered wigs and satin breeches. All right, let's check these two out. And I'm like, oh, that's the guy from Bill and Ted's, and I want to see that. So, as a 12, 13-year-old, I figured it would be cool to see something that he was seriously in versus, this cool comedy adventure. And I didn't even realize that he was like a fish out of water, and this was like one of his big breaks in cinema. Like a serious movie. So that's my story there.
This one really blew me away with the outfits and everything. I love Keanu Reeves, but he feels like he's out of his element.
Definitely. If you add dude to everything that he says, you got Bill and Ted's, basically.
That makes it real. That can make it into a comedy.
He just felt so like, Donnie, you're out of your element. Shut up. And I felt like
he was just so young. I mean, I don't know how old he was. I forgot to look that up.
It was like in his early to mid-20s.
Mid-20s.
Well, he just looked so boyish, and the character that he played was so demure, untouched, basically, pure. And that's one reason why Glenn Close's character was so infatuated by him. So she wanted to deflower him before he had his chance with the Uma Thurman. So, I think she did it.
I don't know if they had anything going on off scene, but I heard a rumor that whenever Keanu and am I really gonna? When Malkovich and Keanu Reeves were off scene and off site, they were going out and getting their nails done and doing bro things.
That's correct.
Just hanging out and just enjoying life in the moment, because they're in France. They don't live there. This isn't normal for them. So they're doing France things and like, oh, look, a sidewalk cafe. Oh, look, a nail salon. Yes, let's go do a nail salon. They have a hot tub. I want that. And they're going out and doing everything they can to enjoying themselves. And that probably speaks volumes for me about Mr. Keanu, because he seemed like he really wanted to just kind of broaden himself, because the movie I think he did before this was, there were some other films, but he had been in one called The King of Philadelphia, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it. It's a good coming of age movie, but
I've heard of it. I don't think I recall seeing it.
It's
I never saw it.
It's definitely a film with Keanu Reeves, but it is not a outstanding film. It is a good litmus test for how good of an actor he could become in the future. Mm-hmm. But we didn't see that really get realized. And I hate to say this, I think his best movie is John Wick. I really do. I've never seen him get into a role like he did John Wick. And I mean, yeah, he did that based on the lessons that he learned as Neo in the Matrix films, but he did an all right job as Harker in Dracula. He just didn't really seem to jive with the entire thing. I mean, he had a full-blown wedding with Mina in the Dracula film. They actually did like an actual wedding ceremony. So like if somebody took that part serious, like Winona Ryder and him are still quote unquote married, but he looked so out of water with that little fish, that scales on him. and he really didn't seem to grab me as an actor. Even The Matrix, as good as it is, he went out and he tried learning kung fu and he tried doing all this Eastern mysticism stuff, to broaden himself. And I don't think it caught up to him until 8 years ago or 10 years ago when he started filming John Wick. I think that's when he really matured as an actor, and he actually became a quote-unquote actor. He's acting. And up until then, like, he was just like literally phoning it in, it felt like. He might be Canadian, but he acted very California-ish.
So you didn't see 47 Ronin?
That's like the movie that you don't want to watch with me.
I loved it. I thought he was excellent in that movie. I loved him in that movie. I loved him in The Matrix, and I loved him in John Wick. I'd say The Matrix, John Wick are probably equal in my book because they're totally two different types of characters, basically. And I thought his skills in both movies were really, really, really well done. And I loved him in 47 Ronin.
47 Ronin was funky. Like, I don't want to say that I'm a movie snob or a purist, but like, I would really love to see movies that are being remade either stick somewhat to the original movie, or better yet, the source material if it's based off a book or something like that.
Yeah,
I would like to see
Hollywood are you talking about?
But 47,
Hollywood do that. No,
yeah, 47 Ronin was like, it's a popcorn flick for small kids and family night type thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a really awesome story, stick to the original.
Well, what I mean when I was talking about the three movies, they're three totally different characters. And he did a great job on all three of them. Made them believable to me when I watched it. So to me, that showed his acting chops had definitely improved for all three of the movies for him to be so versatile to me. So that's what I was trying to say. For the three different types of movies that he was in. Considering he was in this one and he was so baby, he was such a baby. I mean, he was so, but he did a good job playing a young virginal male that was the prey of Glenn Close. At least that's how I took him.
Emperor 1G, if it's my microphone, I dialed it down a quarter. I don't mind the story of 47 Ronin, but the Keanu Reeves movie version, I riff the hell out of it, and I will make you laugh probably too much. And
but I love those kind of movies too,
I'm going to dial down the volume setting on the microphone for Six Nations because I dialed it up too much. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, he's using a tablet for his
microphone. That's why I don't normally go on the show.
Oh, that's okay. We can work with it.
Yeah, we'll work with it. No problem. I'm just going to drop you down to where I'm at. Try that.
Synchronous testing.
Hopefully that's better, guys, for you that are on headphones. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, if Legion of Myth is watching, he probably shot himself in the head already, and I apologize.
Oh.
I'd like to say hello to Bone and somebody get a cleanup over at Legion of Myth in Alabama stand. Okay. I like this movie. I'm not a big fan of quote unquote boring period pieces. Like, you'll never catch me watching the original version or the originally inspired and trying to be true to the source, Pride and Prejudice. I will find some Ambien and tie myself down and snore throughout the entire thing. I do not like Pride and Prejudice. Now, the book Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is absolutely amazing, and all of you deserve to read it. Mm-hmm. But the Pride and Prejudice as it is very vanilla, very flat. And this movie, my mom and I were discussing this, and she's like, that was a boring movie to me. I said, it's a good movie for the fact of what it covers. I think that it's not exactly something that I want to watch all the time, but for courtly intrigue, it does really good with what it has. and I don't think there's a better movie that actually shows the nobles being such assholes and narcissists.
That gives you that inside vision of
Yes.
two people that are spoiled, rotten narcissists, and how they use each other and play each other to use others, and see which one can outdo the other, basically, for jealousy, because both of them were jealous when the other one was with someone they didn't approve of, that type of thing. And they were trying to give each other a test to see whether or not they can outdo something they did the time before. That was their thrill.
And Glenn Close, for her being gone for half the production of the film, she did fantastic with what she had. Mm-hmm. She was gone. She had just given birth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically the first half of that film was her kind of recuperating from her maternity leave. Oh, and then what was it? In the 85 play, which the screenwriter for this also did the play, if I remember correctly. Belmont was played by Alan Rickman.
Yep. He was they were wanting him to get involved with it, but he's like, no.
I mean, what actor wouldn't be scrambling to have his part? You know what I mean?
True that. And then they didn't want
Malkovich. That many relationships and make out sessions with so many different women. I don't know a single actor that wouldn't have wanted to have that part.
Well,
Malkovich was too ugly, according to the people. I guess the producers or the higher ups within the studio didn't want Malkovich because he didn't have that right look for like some swanky, suave, narcissistic
I don't think he was handsome enough.
Yeah.
I thought he got more handsome throughout the movie because I really don't think he's that attractive of a man. It was his suave, debonair attitude toward things.
I think he fell in love with him because
he oozed sexual exuberance to me. I mean, he just made you want to find out more about him just by the way he spoke and the way he acted around the women. At least as a woman's point of view, that's how I looked at it. I thought he did really right.
See,
for a seductor.
I've asked other women about this movie, and they said Malkovich was very young, and while they thought he was falling in love with, I think, Cecilia, while he's falling in love with her, they were completely just enamored with him. As the movie goes on, the wetness intensifies. They were buying it. But when things fall apart for them two, like everything just went right out the window. And like not a single woman I know, you're the only one I know, Janet, that wants to watch this movie to the end, knowing it will end bitterly. Everybody else is like, I can't believe he would leave her. That's the love of his life. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy doesn't even know what love is. He's blown through so much pussy. He's absolutely got no sensitivity in his dick. He has no idea what it's like to come. It's just a bodily function now.
Well, it was the whole thing was the conquest of it. And because Michelle Pfeiffer's character gave him such a long, drawn out process, and he had to work so hard and think about so many different ways to get into her pants, basically, that he became enamored with her. And then when he wasn't with her, he couldn't stop thinking about her. And that's all he wanted. So he basically, his own way that he approached things made him fall in love with her, because she was, what does everyone want? Everyone wants what they can't have. So, normally when you get what you want, it's like, oh, well, I got it, unless you're in love with them. Once you're in love with them, it's not just the fact that you have sex with them. It's that you enjoy the other things that you do together, just being together and talking and holding hands and walking through the park, things like that. It gives you meaning, it gives you purpose. because you can't wait till the next day to see the person again. That's love. Just waking up the next morning and going, okay, I'm getting dressed, I'm leaving. It's nothing, because you've already you won the prize. It's over.
Hey, babe, where's cab fare?
So,
where'd you put my cab fare at, baby?
Oh. So, what do you think about what I said?
What I think about what you said, I think it's pretty on point, at least from a woman's perspective. But
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, right? To give a woman's perspective.
And I think Malkovich is so damaged that he doesn't get it. I think that when he starts to actually realize what matters in life, he's unable to appreciate it.
Well, I think he did realize it, and that's why he was wanting to do the sword fight. The thing is that when men fall in love and lose it, and they realize, man, I fucked up. I messed up everything. I had everything in the palm of my hand, and I chucked it out the window. And now it's gone. I'm probably never going to get it back. I'll probably never feel this way again. And they, instead of thinking and sitting down thinking, I'm going to get some flowers and I'm going to go beg for forgiveness, or something, they get in a fight. They want to go fight. And then he fights to the death, and he ends up dying because of it. But he died knowing he loved her. And he had a young man that honorable enough to listen to what he had to say and make sure that he followed through on his death wish, which was to tell the woman he loved what he said on his deathbed before she died, because she was dying basically of a broken heart. And she was already frail anyways. She was a frail character. But also the whole thing that he shared about Glenn Close's character. So when she went to the one place she loved to watch people, because that was one of her things that she liked to do, and everyone booed her. So it ruined her. It ruined her character. So she was no longer.
That was the ultimate revenge for being scorned by his ex-lover, who in the beginning of the film he just wanted to score with.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows all the narcissistic, degenerate tendencies that the aristocracy had. Pardon me.
Yeah, and then when we talked about, you guys were saying you thought that the young Keanu Reeves was going to be basically him and Uma Thurman were going to be the new couple to take over the place of the other two. But see, I didn't see it the same way, because they were actually in love, and Keanu Reeves wasn't a tyrant. Okay, he was a good person. He made sure that he followed through on the other guy's wishes, and he spurned his once lover, to get her out there, and so she wouldn't be able to do that to anyone else. Basically, he took that sword away from her, so she could no longer use it to hurt other people. So he was a good person. You know what I mean? And,
and
he was really in love with Uma Thurman's character. So maybe
the movie's ending isn't like there's a redemption arc per se. Like Keanu Reeves is about as good as you're going to get as a good guy in that film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because remember, even the handyman, the assistant to what's his name?
What's his name? The valet.
Yeah, that was sleeping with the servant girl to get information for him. Which is, what a great job that was too, because she was a cutie pie. I didn't think anyone was ugly, basically, in this movie. Everyone was very attractive. But I love the clothing, so I could look at their clothes and, oh, he's a sharp-dressed man over there. I'm interested. You know what I mean? So I fall for it. So I can see why the opening scene where you're watching them getting dressed with their assistants dressing them, I just loved it. I kind of give you a deep dive into the eccentric lifestyles of people with that much wealth and have that many people waiting on them, and why they're so bored. They don't have nothing to do. They just wander around their big, huge mansions all day and think of ways to betray people and get people to betray each other and betray themselves. So they were just bored, instead of getting hobbies or whatever, they hurt people, they used people. That was their hobby. So It was. I
They
just
didn't
loved
have the internet to shit talk or anything like that.
it. Nope, not back then.
I
So
mean, if you're fat, filthy rich, like, what do? Well, you go and fuck with people's wives and shit post.
yeah,
But,
that's basically it.
18th century style.
I'd like you to write me a letter so I could put it in my memoirs and prove to people I was fucking your brains out. That was right there the part that I just started laughing at when I figured out, like, why are they doing the letters like this? What's so important about the letters? Then I got it. That was when
It was the social media of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That
rich
was
women.
the evidence. That was the proof that whatever they were doing, they did, because somebody that was involved that didn't know about the betrayal was the one writing it down. The lovers' letters between the two lovers. That's not meant for anyone else's eyes, but they were reading them. They were, dealt. It's just
Exactly,
like reading someone's diary or getting into their, their ID on their computer and being able to read all their personal information. And that's basically what they were doing. Both of them were using whatever means they could to get into each person that was basically in their circle of friends into their, personal information, everything they knew, everything about them, how rich they were, that they had to sleep in this person's chateau.
I'll answer Emperor's comment.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like this movie did not have enough war in it. Well, 6 or 7 years later was the French Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time that this story was written, Leclue, the author of it, was supposedly writing fiction, but it was later found out to be that the letters that were written in the story, there's like 47 or more letters. It's all done by epistolary, and so somebody found out, oh, this fictional event is actually based off so and so, and so his book, that was like the only thing that he wrote, was considered taboo. Everybody had a copy of it, but they hid it from society because like it's like having Penthouse or something on your bookshelf. And then, a few years later, the French got all fed up with the bourgeois, and they hacked off their heads.
Which was a great point in history, I might add. I mean, if you ever want to see a country done right, I know people will disagree with me, but I love watching the French, because the French, when they get pissed off about somebody in power, they do something. When Americans do it, they just put them on fucking 24-hour cable shit news stations, and then they appear in foreign posts, but then the fucker still has a job fucking up what he was doing beforehand. Like, I don't see anybody here, doing what they're supposed to. China's still farming fucking viruses, guys. Come on now. You're disappointing me.
Yeah, Flady, I think he was thinking that Uma Thurman was Demi Moore.
No, that's not Uma Thurman. He's talking about Michelle Pfeiffer, I think.
Oh, he said Demi Moore was the only eye candy, but he said eye candle, but I think he meant eye candy in this movie. Huh?
He might be just intentionally shitposting, but it's funny. But I mean, Demi Moore in 1998 was hot, and
Indecent Proposal.
Yes, 1993. Yes, great movie. Robert Redford too, and he was in that movie for you ladies. And I got to say,
the dark-haired trollop that the valet was banging.
Oh, the valet girl.
Yeah, who was the girl? Yeah, who was the actress that was the one that upset Michelle Pfeiffer's character, the hooker, the prostitute, or whatever?
The courtesan.
I don't remember what her name was.
Let me see if I can find it.
Was it Joanna Pavlis?
I don't know. She looked really familiar to me, and I could not remember who she was.
She was the courtesan. That was what Laura Benson. Damn it! I should have took notes.
No. I've got a couple notes here, but I didn't print out any of the actors' names. I was just printing out stuff about, where they filmed, and that it was 20 years before the outfits and stuff were 20 years before what was really in the book. So, but the writer that wrote that article that I was reading was saying that she thought that the women that were going to be in the movie thought that the clothes weren't elaborate enough. They were just very frumpy, because after the war, more people lost a lot of their money. So they changed the clothing up and stuff like that for the people that, could afford it. So, because it takes a lot of time to make an outfit like this, that's and you got to be able to buy the material and have someone that can make it, put it all together, and you'd have to pay someone to do all that. So I don't know,
like 9 yards of fabric or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's a lot, but the beautiful house that Glenn Close's character was living in was just phenomenal.
Okay, you're talking about Annette Bening. She played.
Oh, Annette Bening? That was her?
Yeah, she went through the several auditions for the role of courtesan Emily, but in the end, the role went to Laura Benson. Bening would go on to play the role of Marquise de Murtaugh in Milos Forman's adaptation of Les Liaisons Dangereuses in Valmont a year later.
I didn't realize that.
Annette Bening was trying to get in this movie, but they for some other reason, when I asked, like, give me the courtesan and Dangerous Liaisons, they didn't give it to me. Like the first half, we all thought Annette Bening. No, it's Laura Benson. Laura Benson.
Oh, it is Laura Benson?
Yep.
Okay, because I was like, Annette Bening got better looking as she got older. That's what I was thinking, because she wasn't as attractive in this movie, if that was her.
Oh, I gotta pencil in another night for reviewing movies in the future.
As I say, Crafting Gamer okay, you got it.
Yeah, I got it. Crafting Gamer says, "Hey Bruce, I just checked. I can share my Xbox on Discord, so whenever you're ready to review the first Tremors movie, let me know." Alec Gross and the country western singer. I'm drawing a blank for right now. Reba McEntire. Holy cow! Yeah, that is
that was like the best part of the movie there for me.
Yeah, watching those two just play off each other, fucking great.
Oh, the husband and wife.
Kevin and Fred were cool, but the Gummers, my God.
My God, I love the Gummers.
Yeah, they were the perfect preppers. Everyone should want to be like them if you're a prepper. You have everything you need.
All right, Crafting Gamer. It looks like September 4th. 2 weeks, you're on.
Sweet.
Because we're going to do scary stuff, right, in October?
Yeah.
Good, because I want spooky movies.
So like Bowling for Columbine and Roger and Me and all those other documentaries by certain people I won't mention.
I need a really good one about Anita Sarkeesian.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, we'll have to dial that one around here in a bit. But Anita Sarkeesian is a trollop. She's a troll for the gaming community, and she has completely tried to ruin journalism. She's done a good job. She's brought feminism into gaming and forced people with crappy standards for gaming now. So that's why we go to independent game designer studios.
Was she that blonde lady?
I think she's
that
more
Geeks
red.
and Gamers talked about a lot.
No,
she's the crazy one on the Young Turks.
That
was.
No, Anita Sarkeesian's a different one.
Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of the other one. Yeah. We're talking Gamergate type stuff.
Yeah, Gamergate.
Sorry,
said,
I just lump all communism together.
If lady said the name of the woman was Valerie Gogin, and he thought it was Demi Moore, the actress.
My bad.
Okay, well, that's who it was. Lady said he looked it up. Yeah, because she still looks familiar. I wonder what other things she was in. But she did a great job at playing happy to be having a few rolls in the hay with Malkovich, you know. And then and he seemed like he enjoyed it. And I really love the fact that they showed you when he was all decked out, you know, to be out in public with his wig and everything, because that was showing his stature in the community, right? And then get to see him walking around his mansion with his hair all long and unkept, you know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty interesting. But the whole detail that they went into all the clothing and the carriage and the beauty of the scenery, the giant beautiful mansion when they drove up in front of it. And then when Michelle Pfeiffer took off in the middle of the night in the carriage and it was leaving off the gravel driveway and stuff, it was just, I just love it. It's just so romantic. I don't know why. Why do us women think that this era, for some reason, is so romantic? I don't understand that. Because I really didn't read a lot of books and stuff that had a lot of this type of stuff in it. I mean, I read The Great Gatsby, but that was like in the 20s. It wasn't in this century. But I don't know. It's something about it. Every movie I've ever seen.
Tight satin pants and the powdered wigs.
It's not so much what the men are wearing, because the boots I hate. I hate all those little, they look like pilgrim's boots, you know. I don't really like the men's boots because they're too feminine looking to me. But I love the women's clothing. I think the beautiful gowns and the way they, like this, just a simple piece of lace to wear around your neck. Things like that was just so, I don't know. I just love it. I think it's very beautiful. And Bruce made a comment before we were on camera about how much he was thinking about women's clothing back then. What was? Do you want to talk about that, Bruce?
I mean, you guys know I go stupid for a woman in an oversized hoodie. I mean, that's just me. The more clothing a woman puts on, in my opinion, like typically the sexier she gets, because mainly, yeah, you're covering up more skin. Some guys disagree with that, but your imagination gets to work. I worked at a strip joint for quite a while, and as a hired help as DJ, not as a stripper. And I got to say that the most I ever got turned on by any of the coworkers, or I should say the lady gunslingers for what it is, because everybody comes in on their own 1099. The only time I ever was interested in anything walking in the door was when they'd come in incognito with thick, ugly glasses on and like 4 layers of fleece. And that was like the only time it's like, oh my God, she actually looks kind of cute. And then, you know, when they take everything off, I was like, oh God, it's just Travis. Oh God, it's just Jennifer. Oh God, it's just Bernice. You know, it's just, you see the same shit all the time, and, you know, it dances around, advertises itself. There's no mystique to it. But
so do you think that happens to people that work in the porn industry, that over time they just get to where they don't even get aroused when they see naked people?
Well, it's easier for women. Men have to like coke up their dicks or something.
Yeah, that's literally what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I just was just wondering. I always thought that I felt sorry for gynecologists, you know, having to see that every single day, all day long, and probably some pretty awful looking ones, if you know what I'm saying. So that would not be too good of a career for a man that wants to be a womanizer. You know what
Gals want to keep their men or keep it interesting in the bedroom. Make sure that your mini skirts are longer than your vagina, and you'll be doing okay.
Yeah, or you have like you have lips that you don't have to wear underwear, and you can ride a bike without using your hands.
Yeah, I really love this comment from Flady. Your strippers pay taxes only in Illinois. Texas, they don't pay state tax. And this right here, are you wearing bloomers, Janet? This
Yes,
that was something I
I
wanted
am.
to know about. There's a movie we watched a couple weeks ago that Rob Roy, and
Mhm.
when the asshole had his way with Jessica Lange,
Mhm.
I really thought the bloomers would have like provided more resistance. I really do. I would have thought with all the volumes of clothing she was on, I really thought that it would have provided more cushion for the push-in or something. But it looked
Well,
like
you
he
got to
just hiked
remember,
it.
back then they didn't even have brassieres. That's why we wore the bustier that pushed
Okay.
everything up and held it in place, basically. And they had to lace it up. Remember the opening
Mhm.
scene where you see Glenn Close getting laced up from the behind? So, I'm sure she had a cheaper corset that she would put on and lace herself, and then the underwear were usually just made out of like cheesecloth or some other light woven fabric, so it would rip very easily. The thing is that the richer you were, you could get satin bloomers and things like that were easier on the skin. But no, most people back then would made their own clothes, and they made them out of flour sacks and whatever they could get their hands on because it was, expensive. And they'd weave their own, like for the Scottish kilts and things, they weave their own material. So that's why if I was going to live back then, I would definitely want to be rich. So
Okay.
you could have other people help you with your clothes, and you actually got to take a bath and do all those different things.
Well fed, well dressed, less chafing.
Yeah, remember the scene where Malkovich was going through the town because he knew he was being followed, and he was trying to get the guy to say, "Oh, he's a great guy. He donates to people and helps people." Blah blah blah, and you get to see what it's really like for those people that were being thrown out of their home because they couldn't pay taxes, right? And they were taking all their belongings, their tables, their chairs, everything they owned basically out of their house, and he stopped them. But normally he wouldn't give a shit. You know what I mean? He was just doing it. So they basically lucked out because he was trying to fraud someone, and he used this family to make it look like he was a
Prop yourself
caring,
up.
giving person. So,
Look at me.
there was
I
no
care.
boundaries to what he would do to get laid, basically, to win someone over enough to spread their legs for him. So, it's one to do whatever it takes. And you'd think that after this movie came out and people got to watch it, or especially young women, that there would have been less pregnancies, because you think that women would start thinking, well, if he just comes and snaps his fingers and I sleep with him, then why would he have to come back and see me again? You know what I mean? So, like my mom always said, why buy the cow if you get to milk for free? So that this movie was basically that. He was able to talk girls into dropping their pants. So, because he was a user.
I'm not going to say how dare he. I mean, the game is the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's natural. I mean, that's like I said, the conquest is the chase. Just like you said, she's not going to be any challenge. The one girl to deflower her before the other guy comes back to get her as his nun bride or whatever, because he wanted chastity. But he said she's not a challenge because anybody could do it, basically. And he was right, just by looking at her, knowing about where she came from and how she was raised. But the other woman, to him, to be able to tempt someone to betray their husband and break their marriage vows and their church vows, to him was way more tempting. Something as of a way to see how good his skills really were. If he could get her to do it, then that's a trophy on the wall for him. But while he was doing it, he didn't realize it. But the challenge was he had to spend so much time with her and learn more and more about her that he ended up falling in love with her. So that was his downfall too. Was real love.
I mean, it wasn't a bad deal. I mean, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, back in the 90s, Michelle Pfeiffer. Hey guys, do you remember Batman Returns? I sure do. That's all I'm going to say.
But I just thought it was very intriguing. The whole aspect, the back and forth between Glenn Close and
Malkovich's
John
character.
Malkovich, I thought was really, really good, because that was the whole story, was two people that were once in love, but because of their narcissistic attitudes, they needed narcissistic supply. So they used each other to use others, and then they'd bring it back to each other and then have a romp, a great sexual romp while they bathed in the glory of knowing what they did to someone else. You know what I mean? So over time, their narcissistic supply was harder and harder to fulfill, because, each quest had to be better than the one before for it to really be a turn on for them anymore, because of their twisted way of, getting off, or whatever you want to call it. But, it was sad to see him, do certain things to certain people, but, you're allowed to do that, I guess. If you get away with it, then why not, I guess.
Murder Hobos of High Society.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Murder Hobos of High Society.
I can't hear him.
Barely hear you.
How about now?
A little louder.
How about now?
Much better.
That's good.
Okay. Damn tablet. I was going to say Murder Hobos of High Society.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that's growing up with everything handed to you, and you don't have to do anything to earn it. So what kind of person does that make? You don't have to be nice to people. You don't have to be polite. The only people you have to suck up to are the ones that are giving you the money, Yep. So I don't see how that teaches anyone to respect anyone. And just like what Flavy said, he said paying off the peasants' taxes was cheaper than the theater and dinner. And, that's how rich you were. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would be like, to be able to just go out into the world and just buy anything you want, anytime you want, go anywhere you want, and have no consequences for it, not have to worry about, God, I'm not going to be able to pay my electric bill, or I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage, none of those things, because you had endless supply of money. I can't even imagine what that would be like, what kind of lonely life that would be, because how can you grow up that way and trust anyone around you, because everybody wants something from you. Everybody's just using you to get whatever they can get from you. I think that would be a terrible, way to live. If I was to ever get that kind of money or anything like that, I wouldn't want people to know I had it, because I want people to like me for who I am, not, what they can get from me. I don't know. Maybe if I was born into it and I never had that choice, maybe I wouldn't think this way. But because of my life, I guess I don't know how I'd handle if I ever won a huge lottery or something like that. What would you do?
If I won a huge lottery, like first off, is this over 100 million or not?
I don't know. Just a large.
Well, we'll say 50 million. I'm gonna get enough land to where I've got about 20 acres that I could plant actual, like, conventional septic tanks in the ground for 12 cabins, have a longhouse in the middle of it, and start my campground on the other side of that property. I'd have the dump, make sure it's downwind, and I'd get a few hands to process shit through lime for me. And then after that, I would just start my small inland empire and, be one of the best shit talkers in the Northwest Texas corridor for San Antonio. That's what I do. And the little cabins I have, people I know, my family, mom and dad, you got a cabin. Dad, if you want me to, I'll put up a building so we can put all your tools there. I really don't want you to live in Illinois because I hate winter. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're done living in Illinois. Mom would be like, I don't want to live in Texas because of the heat. And I'd be like, tough shit. You're living in Texas now. And then I tie my mom up to like a Freon dispensary. Like she'd be like, you know, most people have like the IV drip machine. Mom would have a Freon drip machine behind her. So that would be the thing. Chimerian, a couple hands, get about 3 guys to work for you at the lime pits. That way you can process your shit. Get about maybe 20 trucks in a day, between 3,000 and 5,000 gallons of shit, and you should be able to make good compost. That'd be the thing. And that's just like small bacon, like 50 million right there, Janet.
Yeah.
But and that's small bacon. If it's like over 100 million on the lottery, well, we just have to discuss some things.
Oh, what was the latest Mega Millions? It was like almost
billion.
1,000 million. The Fed took 465,000 or a million of it, and you know what was left was probably about just under $4 million or $400 million.
Yeah.
So that's enough for a decent house and a good chunk of property anywhere outside of blue states. Or
as long as I'm not buying that giant ranch that's up for sale right now in Southwest Texas, there's a 465,000 square acre ranch for sale. And I don't have the 260 million plus to get it. And that makes me sad.
Yeah,
that's a lot of mowing.
I'd buy me a couple little places, you know, like a little 4-bedroom, 3-bath houses or something in different states. Like, I'd want one like in Reno, and then one maybe in Arizona.
Every time you hear the word
maybe
Reno,
in Florida.
Janet,
Do what?
When you hear the word Reno, Janet, do you think of divorces?
No.
Is that every time I hear of Reno, I think of divorces, and that was a big 60s thing. You'd go from Las Vegas getting married.
I was thinking of Reno 911.
Oh, I hear the city Reno, and I think divorces.
Well, it's beautiful. I've been through Reno a few times, and it's just beautiful there. All the nice little beautiful homes that are all like in the mountain area there. It's just so pretty. It's just beautiful. And, with my allergies, the desert climate is really better for me. And you could have snow, so I could go there and have some snow when I was wanting some. And then I could go to Florida or to Arizona in the lower, desert area and not have to worry about snow, but have the same warm desert. And then I would probably buy stuff for my friends. It's what I'd probably, like the truck or classic car or something that somebody always wanted, something like that. But I still wouldn't want anyone to know I had the money. I would just, buy them a gift and send it to them anonymously or something.
That's generous.
That's what I would do.
This movie.
I'd hope I wouldn't be turned into a stuck-up snob like some of these other people do.
I'm thinking that when I saw this movie, I was expecting more, and I don't mean to beat on this film because it doesn't really deserve to get beat on. The only thing that needs to get beat on with this movie is the location scout, which they didn't understand the assignment when they were given the assignment of find a place to film.
Mm-hmm.
First, we're looking in America, and the studio's like, "You're doing Dangerous Liaisons, right?" Yeah. What about this place over here? Robin Leach detailed it about 5 years back. No. Have you thought about Europe? Europe? We got a budget for that? Yep. So he goes over to England.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no, we're not filming outside of London. We want to make it authentic. Well, Spain? Sir, it's called Dangerous Liaisons. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. No, I don't. Put the fucking movie in France. Find a fucking chateau. Meet the maitre d', meet the castellan or whoever it is that's in charge of the fucking thing, and put the fucking movie there. And they just fucking shouted at him, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay."
Was the location manager were they like related to someone that was in the production? Part of it with money.
I think they were related to somebody in the studio.
Yeah, I was gonna say because sometimes that happens where the nephew or the grandson or the brother, or sister of somebody gets different jobs because of the production people, and they're not very good at it. They're not, because they have no knowledge of it, and they just want their name in the credit for
The
doing something.
typical lackey response of, "Oh, it's based in Europe. Europe is where history comes from," and then they just like threw something at the wall and see if it stuck, and then someone's like, "No, look at the source material, do it right."
And that's in the IMDb, literally. Like when I found that part of the trivia, I'm like, I got to talk about that because that's funny to me. I mean, I know I shouldn't be laughing about it. That's somebody being a boob, you know. I mean, they're just being a nincompoop, and like I just find that to be like one of the funniest things about it. Like, wait, this is what we almost got. We almost had a live on location in Santa Barbara, Dangerous Liaisons, and period garb for the fucking 1820s. Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
I know I got the years wrong for the French Renaissance. I'm sorry, guys.
That's probably why we got what was it, Cruel Intentions later on in the 90s.
Well, and plus they said that it was filmed. The costumes and stuff really weren't from the right era that was in the book. So they wanted more elaborate costumes and stuff that looked more, Victorian or whatever. So that's why they came up with these. But I still think they're beautiful.
Didn't we talk about the costuming and Rob Roy, how Rob Roy's budget was set up, and we thought Rob Roy was just basically like a bunch of hand-me-downs in a warehouse that had collected dust. Yeah, I think they did the same thing here.
Yeah,
they
might have.
They really. I mean, it's not 1998 clothing. That's all I give a shit about, really.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like modern takes, I have not seen the Valmont, and I have not seen the sequel, which you just mentioned. But there's other movies that remind me of this, and I know you guys are going to laugh when I say this. This movie like has some a parable like feeling to it. Like the only way to win is not to play, and in that case, this is a lot like 1983's War Games by John Badham,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't want to get yourself covered in shit, you don't go wading around in the fucking septic tank, and that's basically what these two assholes, Glenn Close and John Malkovich's characters, are doing. They're going around, wading around in the muck of life and trying to see, before we have another, steady row over a weekend, I want to see how low you're going to go. And they're just giving these miserable bets to each other and losing their soul. They're losing themselves in the process.
Well, by the time that this whole thing came up in their lives to do this to these two women, they were already so far in they couldn't get out. They had so much jealousy toward each other that they turned their love into hatred, basically. But they were so obsessed with each other and outdoing each other because each of them were jealous of what the other one's accomplishments were, or who they were with, and that they weren't together anymore, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So they were using that to fuel this whole conquest way of life. And, a few times you got to see them after they had their argument, and, they stood their ground to each other, basically. And then when they leave, you see both of them like being all angry and taking it out on a pillow or whatever, or beating on the wall or something. So I thought that was all very good. The anger that you could see in them added towards each other. But when they were together, they just wanted to ravish each other. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. It's like angry sex or whatever. Some people like to get slapped around or beat up, like in the movie. What was the movie with the girl from the new Charlie's Angels, the Asian woman? She was in a movie.
Lucy Liu.
Remember that movie that you got me to watch?
Payback, where she played a prostitute.
Yeah, and she liked to beat people up and get beat or whatever. The people really do that. They pay a lot of money for these fetishes. Somebody likes big fat girls. They could pay for a really big fat girl and get whatever they want, to get sat on or whatever it is that turns them on, or to be dressed like a baby and treated like a baby and fed like a baby and have their diaper changed and stuff. I mean, if you have enough money, you can pretty much get any fetish you want, you can have 5 women at once, or you can be tied up and led around the house with a leash, I don't know. I mean, or wrestle. There's a one woman that's a wrestler, and she goes and she basically beats the crap out of the guy, wrestling to the ground and stuff.
There's a lot of those, Janet.
I'm trying to keep a straight face here.
But I'm saying is that you can get online and pretty much find anything you want. I mean, there's just a whole smorgasbord of whatever it is you're interested in. But what's sad is that there's people in the world that can have any of those things, but they still don't want that because they want the person that rejected them. The one person that said no, now their life goal is to destroy that person or to get them and then dump them. You see what I mean? So that's basically what this whole movie was. It was 2 people that when they were young, younger, they had a wild romance and were madly in love, apparently. And then as time went by and things happened in their lives, that was taken away from them for whatever reason. And so now when they get together, they think of ways to destroy other people or take things from other people, a quest to outdo each other. I'm going to get this person and you can do this and that and do this. And they had to have evidence to bring to each other. And when they had the proof and they came together, they talked about their exploits and then they jumped each other's bones, in whatever way, they felt was needed at the time. But that was their, way of, getting off, weird sexual way.
I'm just going to say out there for those of you that are, I'm not saying in my corner or for those of you that understand me, but sometimes angry sex is the best sex. Well,
I always call it makeup sex, because you're mad and you're having sex, but you're working out your frustrations. But now when you're done, it's like you're over your anger. You're not angry anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh no, you just shot at somebody else.
Maybe I was wrong.
My bad.
Oh, you were mad at someone else, so you took your anger out on someone else.
You had a crappy day at work. Maybe your boss was a little rough, or just the morning meeting pissed you off, or you lost a bet with a coworker on your sales quota. Time to go home and just grab yourself your pill before you get home. 20-minute drive on the way home should be plenty of time for your little trooper to get all the blood flow ready to go, right? That and then there you go. You're primed, you're ready. And you've already texted your spouse, your significant other, like, we're fucking tonight. And that's pretty much how, that's yeah. I just painted.
Now that train got derailed. I was going to segue into Uma Thurman's character, Cicely, and Keanu's character, Raphael, who he was a chevalier or what have you, the knightly title in the French court. So he was an up-and-coming, upward mobility type of guy trying to get his
he was
foot
a music
in the door.
teacher.
Yeah, but his status, he's at the lower rung of all the bullshittery that was going on. And so he was trying to do everything in his power to make a name for himself and eventually be of status. Uma's character was a debutante, so she basically gets sold off to the highest bidder. And so those two are like the polar opposite of douchebag and douchebagette.
Yeah.
And
see, the thing about Keanu Reeves's character is after he killed the main character, he established his mark. Everyone really talks about him, So his whole life went on a different path once he took out the conquest, basically. The one person that was he took out 2 people. He killed that guy, and then he got to ruin the reputation of Glenn Close's character. So he was a real hero to people. So more and more people would probably come to him and say, oh, he's a wonderful art music teacher, blah, 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 and move up in the ranks because of his history now. He has history behind him, even though he was young. So
now here's the thing.
Oh, sorry.
Would Keanu Reeves actually make it on his own if it wasn't for Belmont giving him the opportunity to enact his great revenge and all that?
If he's played by Keanu Reeves,
I don't think so.
I love Keanu Reeves, but if he's played by Keanu Reeves, no, he would not have made it on his own.
No.
I think if somebody else, a stronger actor, would have gone in and read for the part, I think possibly we've got a stronger little Chevalier. But I don't believe that the way that Keanu Reeves is doing it. I mean, his Californiaisms were just a little too milquetoast. I really like his character. It's just it's again, Keanu Reeves for me is the weakest part of the movie. And I know that sounds like I'm being a little unfair to Keanu, but he had already been an actor for like 8 years, and this is maybe 4. Excuse me, 4 is a movie actor, but he had been training. He'd been doing this through high school. He'd been trying to get involved with more and more acting, and he was still at this low level. And I hate to say that, but if you look at Keanu's performance in the first John Wick or second or third John Wick, which is a very physical acting film, but even in the more expository motions of what he's doing, where he's just delivering a narrative through his lines, I think it's a very good job now compared to back then. Granted, those two movies could not be further apart, but he really he's just a very young man. He's completely out of his element here.
Oh, see, I didn't see it that way at all.
I mean, and that's why we have the show on Mondays, and I will continue to pester you until you know.
That's okay. The thing is that I saw him is very versatile. He played a very demure, uneducated when it came to the ways of sex and intrigue and all those things. So he played a virginal character, just like Uma Thurman's character was. So both of them had been toyed with by the two leads when it came to their sexual learning. You know, they were basically taught by the best. So when they did end up together, I guarantee that they had some really good times because they were, taught by the two best people in the industry at that time from this story. So, I think that they saw how low people could get. So whether they wanted to enjoy the rest of their lives as lovers, people that were actually in love with each other, at least they felt they were, or they wanted to end up using their decadence to tear up other people's lives. But I don't think they did, because if that was his character, he wouldn't have turned all the information over to the people about Glenn Close's character, things like that. He wouldn't have done that. If he needed her, he could have said, I'm going to blackmail you and you're going to give me anything I want, or I'm going to show all this to the people. But he didn't. He did the honest part of it. He exposed her for what she was. So to me, he turned his life around and took the good road instead. At least that's how I saw it. And I thought his character was really good for him to play that. And he did a good job playing a character that was that righteous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keanu's character kind of reminded me of Pierce Brosnan back in the 80s when he was doing Remington Steele. Like he was still young and was trying to feel his own way. And it wasn't until like after GoldenEye and whatnot that he came to his own.
Well, to me, I really didn't even know who Keanu Reeves was, really, until I saw him in Speed. So, the one with the bus. And I think it was, what was the girl's name that was in the movie?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
So-
Any man in America could tell you who that is.
But I thought he was really good in that movie at playing the character that he did. So, and I remember everybody talking about Point Break or something, and that what a great job he did in that movie. Was he in that movie? Wasn't
He's
that
in
the
that
movie?
with Patrick
The
Swayze.
surfing movie?
With Patrick
And
Swayze.
I really never really watched that movie. I mean, I saw bits and
Really?
pieces here and there, but I never really watched the movie. So, I can't talk about whether I thought Keanu was good in that one, but I thought he was really good in Speed. I think he was a good actor in almost every movie I've seen him in. He was very good at playing the character. Now, Nicolas Cage, by the other hand, he can play some characters really well, and then other ones they're kind of flat, so it just depends. I thought he was really good in, was it called The Rock or Con Air or something like that?
Both of those are good movies. They're both 1998.
And then Face Off was really good.
Yep.
Now, what about Valley Girl?
I don't think I saw that one. Sorry.
I mean, I just got to say this movie. There's another film that this movie also reminded me of when I was watching this last night. Movie called Deception with Ewan McGregor and Hugh Jackman, and it's a fairly good movie, but it's about two guys that are on the upper end of a brokerage, and the junior one gets pretty much brought into this sex club, be part of the list, and he falls for one of the girls, and she wants out, and it kind of gets a little heavy, but it's a still very very close to this film, I feel, because one character completely enjoys toying with other people, just completely take them over in their own private life, and the other just kind of wants a normal existence. I have a pretty girl. Can I just leave the list now? Can I start my life with this lady? And she's pretty okay with it. And it reminded me of that. Not that this isn't a bad movie. This is a very acceptable film. I'm very happy to have finally seen it because it's been talked about a lot, and I've been missing out on it. But I've got to say that this is not my usual fare. Period movies for me have to be more action oriented, and this really isn't. This is a lot of
this was to me, this was an action movie. Even though they didn't really have swords and fight each other with swords, they were fighting each other with their wits.
Yes.
It was intrigue. They were destroying, they were at war, just like what she said when at the end, and she said, all right. And then he thought she was going to come upstairs with him, and she said, war. Okay. Which meant, it's over, that I'm going to fight to the death, basically. And she won, but she wasn't happy when she won, was she?
No.
Because it was over. She knew that the whole relationship was gone. That was that, and she did love him. That's why she was so jealous.
Cut it herself. She's the one that cut her own throat on that.
Yep. She killed him, basically, because she's the one that pushed him into that, making that decision to actually go through with his idea of deflowering a woman that was really strong, very religious, and was a good wife, and was trying to be faithful to her husband while he was gone abroad. And that was his quest that he wanted. But by her pushing him and saying she demanded the letter to prove, the deed or whatever, she pushed him into her arms, the other woman's arms. And then when she saw the look on his face, when he was telling her about what happened and everything, she knew that that look on his face was the look that she once saw in his face for her. So she felt instantly stabbed in the chest or in the back by him, because now he's in love with another woman. He's no longer in love with her. He's in love with someone else. And that's the ultimate betrayal for a woman. That's why I think so many wives or husbands too, in both sides, they keep their lover, when their husband or spouse goes out and has a one-night stand, okay? And they're hurt by it because the person shared themselves with someone else, but the person's not in love with that person. So I think it hurts more when you find out that your spouse or whatever betrayed you with someone else, and not just had sex with them, but they're in love with them. And they're going to leave you for the other one because they are in love, that they're no longer in love with the person with you anymore. So when that happens, it's usually a divorce in the relationship. But lots of men and women keep the other person and forgive them when it's just a one night stand. They got drunk or whatever. I've heard so many stories from so many people that they were heartbroken and stuff over it. But that's the ultimate betrayal, I think, is like the look on Glenn Close's face when she saw his face when he was talking about what happened. And then she realized he had a couple pauses there, that he was thinking about it again, about what had happened, and that she knew he was in love with her, and that really just tore her up. She couldn't take it anymore. She was betrayed. She felt instantly betrayed, even though she's the reason why he did it, you see? So she basically, it was like laying this woman out on a platter for him, So she did it to herself. But the thing is, he finally found out what it was like to honestly love someone, and wanted to die for this woman. And he did die for her. She wasn't there to witness it, but that's why he died. He wouldn't have gotten in that fight at all if he wasn't in love with her. So, so it was like a Romeo and Juliet type of romance. So I thought that was very beautiful. And it was a good ending for them too, because they both died knowing the other one loved them. That she lost her virtue for another man while her husband was abroad, but she died for love, So if you're going to die, when I die, I wish I could, if I'm going to die, I wish I could die for love. I mean, that would be a worthy way to die, I feel, instead of dying destitute and alone, and having no one. I would rather, not die until I have the chance to maybe find someone that would miss me when I die. That's what everyone wants. That's how you live on, is when someone remembers you and thinks about you after you're gone, talks to you after you're gone, things like that. That to me is the ultimate gift, is to be loved enough to where people think about you when you're no longer there. But I might be wrong because I'm a girl. What do you guys think about that?
You first, Josh.
That's a lot to unpack. So, would I die for love? Probably. I don't know what I would do unless I was actually in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never been married. I've had on and off relationships, but I'm digging my single status right now. But if I truly fell in love with somebody and wanted to spend the rest of my life with them, yeah, I think that I would do everything within my power to keep that relationship and, go to the wall for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way I am right now, like my family, my close friends, and my dogs all do anything for.
Mm-hmm.
You look at my dog funny, and what I have to say won't pass for flowers.
And see, that's honor to me. See, a person that's willing to do something good for someone they love or care about, that's honorable. For my point of view of society, a person that's willing, with both of those people and how they treated others, was dishonorable. And most people that watched this movie would feel the same way. So that shows that more people in the world would not want to be betrayed that way, to be played with your emotions, be used and abused. And that's what so many people murder people every year, because their spouse is cheating on them, or they're stealing from them, or taking something that doesn't belong to you because you want it. It's the same thing. But to me, it's a betrayal of the heart. You know, when your heart is ripped out and stomped on the ground after you supposedly thought that you had given everything to this person and they're not there for you anymore. To me, that's the ultimate betrayal. And then to find out that they're not even in love with you, they never loved you at all. They used you to get to something else, or to get someone else that was near you, or because you're out of the picture now, the other person's available, or something like that. You know, that's the ultimate betrayal, I feel, is affairs of the heart. Because I can always go get a job and make more money and buy things for myself, but I can't buy someone to fall in love with me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's not something you can just have. It's something you have to earn and work at to get. I don't know. That's just the way I looked at the whole thing. And that's why immediately I said that I didn't think Keanu Reeves was going to turn out like him, because he was already a better person, because he followed through with what he said he would do. He was honorable. So I looked at it that way.
I mean, I like what his character did in this film, and I really appreciate his contribution to the story. I'm not trying to slam Keanu. He was just a young actor, and I think this movie was a bit more than what he could deliver. You know, I mean, that happens. You see that happen in a lot of movies. He was the it boy back in 1987, 1986. I think he had just signed on for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure at the time, and they were gearing him up to try some other things to see what his range is. But you know, he did okay. It's just he didn't do great. If there's a difference there, it's between, you know, going from like an honestly fun sci-fi action movie, which probably you'll never see these people except doing commercial work, and then going, you know, to an actual event and watching people do the same performance but professionally. You know, and that's just how it felt. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Keanu Reeves being.
No, I know there's not any. I know what you're saying. It's basically the fact that you put a young actor that was just had a few things under his belt and nothing really huge, no blockbusters, and you put him in a movie with three other phenomenal, well-known actors. So he has to compete against, you know, Glenn Close and Michelle Pfeiffer
and I think
John
that's
Malkovich.
why I think Uma Thurman works so well in this movie.
I thought him being put in this movie with these people, him and Uma Thurman both did a really good job considering who they were in scenes with, you know, important scenes in the movie. And I just felt like I thought he did a really good job considering the part that he had and who he was in the scenes with. I thought he did really good. I thought he held his own.
I missed this movie when it came out. I didn't see it for years. In fact, I just saw it for the first time yesterday. But I've heard of it over the time, and I've never been inspired to watch it. You know, when I say go ahead and, you know, we'll do suggestions or requests and such, you know, that's kind of a way for me to broaden my movie breadth and my depth and my
resume.
Yeah, my resume, which isn't that, you know, great. Hey, you just watch movies for a living? Well, no, I do other stuff, but this is a hobby. But I think this movie is really fantastic for what it delivers. It's not Shakespeare as much as it wants to be Shakespeare, but it goes completely towards that because it does show you some really cool things about the time. It shows you a lot of how the world is perceived just through the narratives between the characters. And I really did feel like this movie was a lot more alive than other period movies I've watched before. I could probably watch this movie again, but I'm not going to say that this is like a favorite of mine by any means. If you guys have a score for this movie and you know this movie, go ahead, throw your score in the chat. I'll read it off before I give my final summary. there's a lot about this film that there's very little for me to be desired on this movie. Is it a bad film? No, not in the least bit. It's a wonderful movie, and I think for what it is, this is possibly even a modern day classic. But I don't see a lot of people rushing out with that opinion, which kind of makes me wonder: did you see this film? Because it does have some amazing bits to it, and just the lore behind the characters. If you read the actual 4 novels or novellas that came out detailing their lives, it looks like it would be a lot of fun to get into. But I've not had that chance yet, and I'm really needing like an 8th day of the week so I can do things like read up on this a little more. I want to say this movie. I want to say this movie for the time it was made in, it completely blew past any expectations. All right, looks like we've got some people feathering in their results. Joshua, how do you rate this film? And he's mute for some odd reason. Nope. What were you doing before?
I was gripping my mic outlet, apparently. Anyhow, if you want to see a period flick or something like that, go see The Duelists or the 1968 Romeo and Juliet with Olivia Hussey, because that was awesome. If you want to go for like culture, this I would give it probably like a 7 out of 10, because I know the background of it, and that's influencing my decision. If I was like fish out of the water 30 years ago, it would probably be 5.5, 6, because 12, 13-year-old me didn't have the wherewithal to actually fully understand everything that went into this film. So today, 2023, I would say that it's a 7 out of a 10.
Okay. Emperor 1G says, I give it 6 Marshall batons out of 10. That's a reasonable response.
Well, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 because to me, it is a war movie. It's just a war of wits between 2 ex-lovers. That's how I see it. And I thought it was portrayed wonderfully. And the costumes, the settings, everything, I thought was beautiful. I thought it was a good, very well-made movie. The score, the screenplay. I mean, I just thought it was excellent. I mean, it wasn't a 10 because I did find a few things that I just didn't settle well with me. But besides that, I thought it was wonderful. Very well made war movie. War of the Roses type thing.
Yeah, I could see the War of the Roses on this, but not War of the Roses, Danny DeVito and Michael Douglas. I don't think I'd rate it quite that high. Jackie Blue says 7 out of 10. Interesting, Jackie. We'll have to have her on one of these nights. And for myself, like I'm gonna not really be too far off from where Six Nation 31 Kings is at. I think it's a solid 68 out of 100. I think it's a very passable, good movie. I think it does really well with the period work. It's not my preferred type of film. It's not bad for what it is. For what it is, it's watchable. Seeing John Malkovich be a complete asshole and just completely narcissist in a textbook, you psychology majors get ready. It's really good.
Yeah, this is a war is what it is. It's not really so much one, except for the one battle, which really wasn't a very good battle. I mean, they were both, you could tell neither one of them were very good with the swordsmanship skills. No. But to me, it fit. It fit for the part that they were playing in this movie, the duel. You know what I mean? Because remember, people did settle things that way back then. and it was legal. So
It's a lost art.
yeah, I wish sometimes. I mean, I wish we could do it today. I mean, I think a lot of things would be settled quickly if they could just duel. Yeah.
Could agree.
You know, whether it was with guns or knives or just a fist fight. Growing up in high school, I remember people saying, you know, there's going to be a fight after school, and everyone had guns in their trucks and cars. It had rifles, they had knives on their belts, things like that. And I don't remember one person ever stabbing another person. They did everything with their fists, you know. So I don't know. I don't understand what happened to it just seems like, I guess I was just sheltered from so many things because I grew up in the military and we were on bases, you know, and it was with other like-minded people, I guess. So I just didn't see a lot of the stuff that other people got to see in big cities and the way they were handled things. It was like all the moms were like looking out for the other kids, you know. It was very rare that someone was kidnapped or shot or stabbed or anything like that growing up, because I just didn't ever see anything like that, you know. Kids would ride their bikes at night and there was street lights out. They had, you know, the MPs driving around. It was just, I guess I was sheltered for a lot of my life because of that. I mean, I don't know I don't have any other answers. But there was a lot of broken hearts, Bone. Mostly hearts.
The technical kill count was like 2, unless there was some peasants or underlings that we didn't see get dumped into the river.
Yeah.
It was basically Belmont. And,
it wasn't like a Peaky Blinders episode.
Yeah.
And this
but
movie,
yeah, 2 broken hearts. Maybe there was 4 or 5 broken hearts, and then there was 2 actual deaths in the movie. That one died from a broken heart, and the other one got stabbed in the heart. So his heart was broken too, I guess you could take it that way. But,
if you're looking for a little more action, I would say maybe History of the World Part 1, if you want feel good. And then go with like Highlander or
Highlander, yeah, that's a really, really good one. But I just love anything that has to do with this era because of the clothing and the just the way that people handled themselves. I just thought it was just very romantic. It's a romantic era for me. Not everybody sees it that way, but I like different types of movies than Bruce does. So I would definitely rate this movie higher than he would, for sure. I mean, he loved the Meat Train, so I wouldn't expect it to
slam me for loving Midnight Meat Train.
It was good. It had good scenes in it, but I just didn't think the overall movie was great.
The short story was better.
Yeah, the short story is a lot more detailed, actually, too. I mean, even though it doesn't have the quote unquote budget as the movie, the Midnight Meat Train inspired story is really good. I gotta ask, would you think this movie would be made today?
Actually, it did, and it sucks because it's some modern version of it in the 2020 type era. I looked it up.
Someone's asking what movie we're talking about. We're talking about Dangerous Liaisons
from 1988.
Yeah, and I thought it was wonderful. I mean, I gave it an 8 out of 10. So that was very.
So if someone were to actually take the story either from the book or the play, because apparently both were really good, and they were to redo it as a technically the 4th redo now, something like that.
Yeah,
I think they might be able to do a really good job of it as long as it was independent.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's the taking it out of Hollywood to remake it would probably you might have something really good come from it, because you can have an excellent script, but if you have the wrong people that get a hold of the script, it probably won't turn out very good. So it really just depends on who gets a hold of it and what group of people make it, whether it's going to be any good or not. In my view of it, because I love independent movies. I told Bruce that it was one of the first things I told him. I said I think independent movies are better in a lot of degrees, simply because they have to think harder about how to make things happen, because they can't afford, fancy CGI. They can't afford big fancy actors or scenes or, crafties. Everybody has to think around things and think
forces creativity in order to make the product that they're trying to push.
And it usually ends up really, really well done, simply because they have to work at what they're doing. They have to have to put more effort into it. I mean, who's going to go out and spend, all their time practicing to look all buff and be all built into the character that they're going to portray, depending on what the person looks like, if they know that, they can just put me on a fake muscle suit and CGI the rest. You know what I'm saying? That comes across sometimes, I think, in movies, because you can tell they did not put much effort into it. And I want someone who makes me believe in what I'm watching. You know what I mean? Pulls me into it. That's what I want. And I like that. And that's how I felt about this movie. I mean, I almost felt like I was sitting in the room between Glenn Close and John Malkovich when they were going at each other, trying to outthink and outsmart the other one. The intrigue of that, to me, was what drew me in to those characters. And who wouldn't want to be laying on the bed next to one of those people? You know what I'm saying? Make a sandwich or whatever in some of the scenes, because it's very erotic. So, there's a lot of things that I got into for this movie. And you could, and the acting was good enough to where you forgot that it was a movie. You know what I mean? If you were really paying attention to it, to me, that means it's good acting. It's believable. The script is good enough to pull you into it and take you away from this life into that life for whatever amount of time that you needed to watch it. And that's what makes, to me, how I rate a movie, depending on how much I was involved in it, emotionally into the movie. Like John Wick, everybody's taking clickers and click, 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 every time someone dies, because you're really into it, you just can't help it. And then what was that movie? It was called Nobody. And then you had the dad, in the nursing home, you just got pulled into it, and you loved it. You wanted to see them win. And what did we want to see in this movie? We wanted to see them lose because they were both assholes, narcissistic assholes. And we got our wish, because if you watch to the end, they both paid the ultimate price and had everything taken from them. So, evil didn't win, and I like that part of the movie.
Anybody in the chat have anything they'd like to add on this film? Because I've stated my piece. I thought it was really good for a period movie. I just it's not my usual fare, but for what it is, I thought it was really good. As far as films are concerned, I liked reading about the trivia of this movie quite a bit. It seemed like it had a lot of juice in there. Mm-hmm. Hey, how you doing? I guess I would be Velmont this evening. Yes, I think this movie succeeds on a lot of levels. Josh, do you have anything you'd like to close with on discussion with Dangerous Liaisons?
Well, if people haven't seen it, I recommend that they see it. Is it going to be for everybody? No. But if you want something different, something a little bit more cerebral, and just as dangerous as an action flick, but all within the mind, this is one of those films that you should see. And then, enjoy all the young stars, and then go see some of their older work and see how much they've progressed, and, have a laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. I don't want to add anything to that because I think that's really a good way to summarize my feelings on the film. It does good. I mean, for what this movie is, this is something that you should all watch. Janet, do you know what movie we're discussing next week?
I could barely hear you. Something
Do you
about
know
our
what
movie for
movie?
next week.
Yeah, do you
No,
know what
what's
movie
the
we're
movie? What is the movie that's what we're gonna watch next week?
next week's film is let's see. Today's the 21st, so it'll be the 28th of August.
Mm-hmm.
Serious? We don't have one set up? No. Okay, there we go. Oh, it's a Bronx Tale.
Nice.
The Bronx Tale.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And the week after, is that the one that for John?
That'll be actually for Mr. Crafting Gamer Trimmers.
Okay.
John wanted
So just
October, so
Okay, so I just want to make sure I remember because I got to tell him so he can take that. He won't be. He'll show up because we
fair enough.
want him here.
Yeah, I'm just going to show off this real quick. Here we are for Dangerous Liaison.
Mm-hmm.
Next week is the Bronx Tale. And then the week after that is Trimmers.
Okay.
October 2nd, we're doing Waxworks. And then October 9th, we're doing the Goonies.
The Goonies. Okay, October 9th. I have to remember that.
If people want to request something, a little bit of cheddar, not much. $5 are left. We'll check it out. I'm not trying to go for money, but I just feel like otherwise me and Janet are going to pick movies, and you're going to see what we want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Be listening to you guys. I think it's a pretty good opportunity. If you guys want to be on panel, you can. I want you guys to be involved with that. I do like my channel, even if I'm hearing some technical difficulties in the background. It happens. Before we go too far, I want to show you guys the website for Blackout Coffee, because Blackout Coffee is doing a lot of new stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up on wintertime, we have they have cocoa and tea available. These are fairly good prices. You get about 3 to 4 hearty mugs of cocoa out of them for $9. Is that the cheapest out there? Nope. Is it really good? Yep. And also, I'll be posting any big savings that comes off. Right now, you can get 10% off. Heck, I'll give you 10% off with my own checkout code. That's for the cocoa. This is the Cream de la Creme. I love the old-fashioned Earl Grey tea they have is fantastic. They have, hold on. Scroll down to where I'm at. These three right here, you can't go wrong with. Bluesberry tea by Upleaf is great. Raspberry tea by Upleaf is fantastic as well. I just tried a strawberry loco tea. So if you are wanting something new, I would say go to Blackout Coffee and check them out. Come on, grab it. Not right now. Thank you. Okay. And here there is the code for Blackout Coffee. Good year round.
Mm-hmm.
There's other codes. If you sign on, they'll do specials sometimes. I recommend, if you like Blackout Coffee, if you like good coffee, try Blackout Coffee. There's another brand out there that I do pimp for sometimes, 22 Sierra. I like them quite a bit. But Blackout Coffee, we're getting into the fall and winter months. I want to make sure that you guys understand they have tea, they have hot cocoa. You don't have to be chained to the bean. Okay, you can get other things. Joshua, do you have any closing words for the show in general, my friend?
And nothing that comes to mind. I'm thinking and I'm drawing a blank. Something witty. Go out and watch movies. Yada yada yada.
I can agree with that. I really have to thank you for this film. I would have not seen it if it wasn't for your suggestion. Like I said, my taste in movies is kind of narrow, so whenever people throw that super chats, and I'm not like giving this money for myself. I love this is going straight to charity. Janet found one for Tim Ballard, the guy that does the little underground railroad for kids that are involved with sex slavery. The guy that's doing that movie, Sound of Freedom. And I'm probably going to be switching my money from one lawyer over to that because as much as I like my brothers in arms, you're going to help kids. I'm into that. I'll do that. I'll help you out.
Yeah, if I ever get monetized, that's who I'm going to sign up for.
Janet, if you get your Reaper, your Rumble, I saw Reaper in the chat. I bet if you get your Rumble set up, we can get you monetized that day.
Okay, well, I'm trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, I'm all for the donating to charities to help the community, to help the underprivileged, whatnot. Back in the day when I used to play airsoft with friends, we had an amateur group. We did Wounded Warrior Project, and then like helped out the kids locally and stuff like that. And it was well worth the time and effort.
I was involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters as a big for a while, and that was okay. I wouldn't suggest everybody do it. Not that it's bad; it's actually a really good organization. They try, but I just like after a while, you just see too many things where it's like, here we go again, and that literally you're living a meme with. San Andreas, oh shit, here we go again. And you feel like, you're seeing somebody that may be your little, or you may see their brother or sister act like a fool, and here come the police. And even if you're doing nothing, even if all you're doing is just helping out the little brother, little sister that you're there for, they they have family, and most time families that are involved with this are not really in the best position. They don't have the mental morality. They don't have the spirituality. They don't have the acuity. They just have that need for instant gratification now, and you get to see a lot of that. That's the only thing negative I have to say about it. Emperor 1G says, "I hope when I'm rich, I'm not mean to poor people like I am now."
No, he's so sarcastic.
Janet, do you have any closing things, any closing statements for tonight's show?
I just want to thank Joshua for wanting us to watch this movie, because I forgot how good it was and how much I enjoyed it. I laughed about, the guy following them supposedly secretly. Just little things in it. It was very well made. This was a very well made movie. It had everything you needed in it to keep you enthralled in it, trying to figure out what was going on and how they were going to get around getting these people to do the things that they were wanting to do, like playing them like puppets. And to me, that's what was so intriguing about it. It was definitely war. It was war of the heart. It was showing you what psychiatrists try to tell you about narcissists all the time, to get out of a narcissistic relationship if you're a pacifist, because they'll just tear you to shreds and leave nothing. You'll be gutted when they're done with you. So I just that's how I saw it. To me, it was a war movie. It was a war of two people who were once in love and they were young, but one was a woman that was basically a piece of meat, because back then women, especially if you were pretty and you had a chance to be put into a wealthy family, your family's going to go, you're going, because we want money. We want a better place in society. So they take their daughter and hand it over to whoever had the most money or whatever. So that's why Glenn Close's character, yeah, she was rich, but look how miserable she was. She had everything at her fingertips, anything you could possibly want. But what does she want to do all day? Sit and plot on how to tear other people down, instead of thinking about, let's go out and volunteer in the city, or, anything. I mean, she could have done anything with all that money, but she chose to be a narcissist that wanted to see other people torn away from love, or dropped out of respect, in society. I mean, it was just terrible to sit next to someone and laugh and joke with them and pat their hand and take them under their wing the whole time she's using her daughter. It was horrible. She was stabbing everyone in the back. Anyone she came in contact with, she was using them for her own selfish needs. And I like to see those people lose. If that's the only thing I get out of the rest of my life, is to see a few people knock down a few pegs and lose this shining light around them because they're just dicks or assholes or narcissistic pigs or whatever they are, that would be a great goal for me. But I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that type of thing. I want to be stronger, and that's what this movie, it rejuvenated me. It made me start realizing how many of those people we have right now. I mean, every single day when you turn on the TV or you get on an app, you got all these narcissistic dickheads running around trying to hold you down and make you feel you're not worthy of having anything or being successful. Okay. So I thought it was a great movie. I enjoyed it immensely. And I'm glad that you brought it up. Got me to get to watch it again, because it gave me a little kick in the butt to rejuvenate me to, fight against narcissists. If that makes any sense at all.
I actually really enjoyed it. I rated it low because it's not in the type of movie that you'd find me watching much. But I mean, this is a great movie. I'll be recommending this movie to be seen by people that haven't watched it yet. Anybody who has a thing for Glenn Close, this is one of her better earlier films.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's my favorite Glenn Close movie. Probably Fatal Attraction is the one of hers that I just can't get enough of. That's the one where she completely moves off the rails after Michael Douglas, and I just love that movie. But this is a great movie. Like I said, the only weak part of it, and I love you, Keanu, but it's Keanu. He's a really good actor now, but he's not always been that way. And I'm happy that I was able to watch him grow as an actor, and I can see his definite progression as a skilled tradesman with what he does. I think this is a fantastic film, and I rated it a 68, but for being a 68, this is probably one of the highest rated 68s I've ever had, because the sets, the props, the acting, they did the music right, the score is fantastic. There's really not a real weak spot until we get to what I discussed. But if you want to see John Malkovich and Glenn Close when they were in their 30s, maybe early 40s, this is the movie to watch them in. I appreciate this. Thank you very much, Joshua.
Yeah, no problem. Like, it was kind of funny because I was thinking about it in terms of like your gaming channel, and I was reminiscing about like stuff I wanted to do as a game master, as far as like court intrigue, and like if you were a strategist in the middle of a battle, like what would be some epic role-playing elements. And then I was like, I should go check out some movies, and then it popped in my head, oh yeah, Dangerous Liaisons. That's like a total mindfuck movie. As far as like,
and I think if you really want to run a courtly intrigue style campaign, you could do it based off of some good source material, like the original book for this. Or this movie wouldn't be bad source material, but Like I would want to have, the extended story, so you'd have to have somebody familiar with the novel at least to fill in gaps. But I really think that for me, for the courtly intrigue work, I think that has to be in a campaign where the players are all right with the GM saying, "All right, put away your courtly intrigue character and
Uh-huh.
let's bring out Team B because Team B was going through the woods and they've got this valuable shipment and we'll see how Team B does." And the players have to be able to play without using out of character knowledge. So they have to be able to be honest to each other and themselves. It's kind of weird. Or if you don't have players who can do that, you could just have like another table meet up on a different day and you let both tables know, all right, whatever you do is going to be reflected on this table here. So you might have an entire court of nobility over here pushing pawns around and doing things. And then you'll have your group of troubleshooters over here, which are having to respond to various weights and measures being put against them by this group here. And if these guys succeed, somebody over here, one of the players is going to have a real good day, and another player is probably going to have a bad day because both of them either won something or lost something. And I think either way you'd run that, either with one group of people or two, I think either way would be fantastic. But I think it's going to require more time than a lot of people want to put into it, especially for the fact that the courtly intrigue might take 10 hours of RP, 10 full hours of role play to do things. And then when you get to the Team A or Team B scenario, that might only take you 5 or 7 hours. Or it might take you like months of game time to push things to fruition. It just all depends on how willing the players are going to let the DM orchestrate things.
Definitely.
I think if you want to, while you're waiting for your group, you might want to actually write up a script for what you're doing with the idea in your head of how to do courtly intrigue. You ought to do that and get like 3 or 4 adventures ready, and then look for some friends. I'm sure people over the LOM server would love to play a game that really doesn't have a whole lot of die rolling available. They want to see more reaction-based emphasis. They want to see more actual RP at the table. I think fly over and you could really knock that one out of the park on a server like that, or maybe go to Tinkar's Tavern and pick up a person or two over there. But I think it'd win. I think it would win quite well. That would really work. The more I think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. And once I get all my current drama taken care of and put some money into an actual mic, which I thank everybody who's stuck around to listen to me gab online with this shitty tablet of mine. Once I get it all set up for actual online play, because the last time I did online play was like on ICQ back in the late 90s with basically play by email and chat stuff. So
I remember ICQ.
Yeah, I don't want to. That's where I got my first stalker. That was crazy. She was actually from Corpus Christi. I got a letter, which I thought it was from my friend who had just moved to Galveston because he had to take care of some family stuff. And I was visiting my folks on the weekend, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got a letter from Texas." I'm thinking, "Oh, it's Javier. I haven't seen him since like high school." And next thing I know, it's this gal from one of the chats, and she's got 10 dimes taped to the bottom of the letter, and it just says, "You owe me one." I was thinking, what? And then it clicked, because I'd usually end the chat with, like, if I had a dime for every time somebody told me that, I'd have a lot of wicked thoughts on my mind. And then I realized that she was a crazy stalker. And so I told my folks, you ever get any other letters, just send it back, say, wrong address or whatever. And hope to God she never took it any further than that.
She knew your address where you lived?
And I was thinking within the chats, she was able to glean some information, and then, it doesn't take long to find that shit online.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my last address was back in Santa Cruz, and I was living elsewhere at the time. And, so my parents got the brunt of that stalking, and it just scared the crap out of me. So ever since then, I've crossed my T's, dotted my I's, and made sure that crazy didn't follow me.
Yeah, I've gotten a few scary things myself. I had a couple really wacky people on Instagram. I've had a couple on YouTube. One of them was telling me to go to another planet, commit suicide. Just bunches of, and that they knew where I lived and that'd be waiting for me when I got home. Stuff like that. It's just really scary.
Yeah, I'm just glad that I live in a state now that has constitutional carry. So, like,
yeah, me too.
another safety measure.
But I never, you don't want to ever have to do anything. You know what I mean?
True that. Like, I'd rather not have to resort to violence if I don't have to. And I've been lucky so far.
It's just scary not knowing, what people are capable of doing. That's why one of the reasons why I was just talking about this movie. The two characters, they would end up probably killing each other over time, Oh
yeah, definitely.
Or coming in and catching one with someone else and then killing both of them. I mean, just like what happened with that Juanita Broderick case. It's just, there's people out there that are just nuts. We have to be careful. It's very scary.
Anyway, that was a dark and morbid turn. So to get back on track, go watch the movie if you haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And, don't feel afraid to step out of your comfort zone to watch cinema.
Mm-hmm.
The more that you ingest, the more that you'll end up enjoying and appreciate, especially the indie films.
Mm-hmm.
Because got to tell you, ever since 2016, or after 2016, TVs and movies have just sucked balls.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going and checking out really old stuff. I'll do silent movies, and I'll be amazed at the backgrounds, the set production, the music, little details that, 30, 40 years ago, I wouldn't even have paid attention to. And it's like watching something brand new again. And then...
Yeah, and you learn about when you research the movies, once you've watched them and you look into it, and you find out some really cool trivia about lots of these movies and what they had to go through because their budget was, cut in half, or something happened and it was a storm, whatever, and they lost half their costumes, and how they had to, figure out what they were going to do to fill in the gaps. Just all these interesting stories behind the actors or the producers or the director, just different things like that. It's, like when we found out about Cutthroat Island, when we found out that they started filming and they were already $60 million in debt. So it's like, wow, they started off on the wrong foot, but the movie was great. It was a great movie. So the fact that it was the worst movie money making, or the biggest bomb at the box office ever made, I was told that's why I never watched it, because I figured, well, it must be really, really bad. If it's worse than Rabbit Test or some of these other movies my mother made me watch, then I don't want to watch it. I'm not going to pay money for it. But then you find out the reason behind why they were, it was put in the books, the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest bomb, not because of the movie was bad. It was because of the people, the executive side of it, bankrupt them, So that's why it's intriguing to find out about new.
And nowadays with streaming and everything, like, you know, 1 or 2 generations into the current generation here, you know, they don't have access to DVD stores and video stores like we had 20 years ago.
Yep.
So it's you know, this stuff might be brand new to them, and they'll hear something online, and because of that bias, you know, they might miss out on something that's really good or really really crappy, but you know, you can appreciate it for the crap that it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
so-
Indiana Jones 5, it's still $100 million in the hole. They haven't even started to do the final tally yet, but still $100 million shy.
Which one?
Mhm.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Well, you
If
go
you
woke,
could
you go
really see
broke.
the books, if you could really see the real books and know the real truth about what's going on over there, I guarantee they're really really bad shape. Disney is not doing well
Mhm.
at all.
I don't want to dig that far down because like not enough soap in the entire universe would
Because
cleanse
you
me from
can't
that.
lose that much money movie after movie after movie. And what was funny is that was a few people that were going to different theaters that when they got online, they said they were sold out. Okay, that supposedly they sold all the tickets to the movie, and they'd go in, and there was like 10 people in there. So they were like, you know, fixing the numbers. Somebody was buying the tickets, and if it was being bought with money that was already invested in the movie, then there really isn't making that much money, you know, and it really isn't the big success that people were saying it was because they were playing with the books, basically. So you can't have an empty theater and have it be sold out every movie. You know what I mean? Every night.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I would love to be a fly on the wall and find out some stuff about that because that would be really interesting. But
Next week, everybody, the Chaz Palminteri script and Robert De Niro led Bronx Tale will be the movie you watch. Looking forward to seeing everybody here.
Well, that's a good one.
I wonder what Janet will wear. That's all I'm going
I
to
have
say.
no idea. I haven't seen the movie, so
Okay.
that's what sucks. It's really hard when you're like, oh my god, I have nothing to wear because you know, how am I going to fix something up for this next one because I don't know what kind of clothes we're wearing.
Yeah, slacks and a white beater.
There we go.
I could have a mustache and a goatee or sideburns or something.
We'll see because I haven't seen this movie in probably 30 years and I forgot some things.
Yeah,
But
I don't think I've seen this movie.
It's Chaz Palminteri is the guy that wrote it, and he had been doing a play for years on Broadway, and they allowed him to be involved with the movie. As long as he was involved with it, he was really, really happy, and the movie was a freaking success. So we'll talk a lot more about it here next week, but this week,
Yeah, but everybody in the chat, if you want to come and watch the movie with us in Discord on Sunday night, is it at 7 or 7:30?
I want to schedule for 7, but if it needs to be 7:30, I can always put a memo out. Oh, it'll be 7:30, guys.
Yeah, so if you want to come watch it with us, you can come and watch it. And we've enjoyed it. I enjoy it, especially with there's a few people afterward because we sit and talk about it after we watched it. And that's a lot of fun too. So, you know, if you want to come, you can come to Bruce's Discord on Sunday. And I think he's posting it now on your community part, right?
I will. I'll start doing that.
Okay,
I need
just
to do that.
to let people know that you can join us and watch it. So it's fun.
Fair enough. Everyone, thank you so much. Mr. Joshua Meredith, thank you for the suggestion for this movie. It was really a lot of fun. I enjoyed
My pleasure.
I enjoyed watching it. Thank you, sir.
I had a lot of fun with you guys watching it and discussing it tonight, so it's all good.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. I thought it was a wonderful movie. I still think it was a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'll probably watch it in about 3 years again. Or maybe I'll watch like the extended story. They've got other films in this series. and
Mhm.
I want to see Valmont, of course.
Yeah, I'm not certain if I have the constitution to watch all three remakes, but knowing how I am with movies, I might actually do that. And then, if I happen to disappear and die suddenly, it was because of that, because I'm a pureblood.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
fair enough. And don't forget, guys, it's coming back. It's coming back, so don't forget your boosters and your masks. You have to wear
We're in
14
trouble.
masks.
I'm not wearing a mask.
Don't do that, guys.
I'm not going to say what I'm going to do because YouTube, but
Yeah.
use your imagination.
We've got Rumble. We'll be over there.
live free. That's all I got to say.
Sounds
Yep.
good.
Don't give
All
it
right,
up to
guys.
anybody.
Go live
Night.
your best life. Have a great night. I'll see you
Yep.
next week.
Good night, y'all.